Hi, welcome. It's Gitanjali here from High Definition You, and I am speaking with the wonderful Joana Rego. Hi, Joana. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and your story, what you do in your business and in the world?
Of course. Hi. So my name's Joana. I am a co-founder of a corporate investigations firm in London. I've been a corporate investigator for the past 15 years, so it's something that I'm deeply passionate about, and which culminated in this project with two other partners of setting up our own very specialist firm just over 3.5 years ago. So currently we employ 18 people, so it's a growing and thriving business. But we all, like all businesses, has its hiccups, and myself, like all executives, definitely have my hiccups too.
Amazing. And tell me a little bit about what your life looked like and felt like before we started working together. What were you struggling with? Why did you feel like you needed help?
I think probably the first thing was stress related, stress induced. The work is incredibly high paced, high pitched, and very encompassing. I also have a young family. And I felt that at times I was maybe taking time from one or the other in order to be essentially making up for time lost. So the stress of sort of having to manage all of these different facets of my life was definitely a first. The second one is probably the lack of recognition. And I think I raised this with you at the beginning. And it's not just I think when you're sort of heading up your own firm, you're not getting appraisals, you're not getting reviews. The stuff you're getting is from your clients, but you sort of enjoy them for a really small period of time. They come in and then you forget about them straight away. And it's the same thing with sometimes recognition from the team, so even my younger team, I was sort of struggling and feeling that I was creating that impact. And I guess, these two sort of constantly made me feel like I was stepping on my thoughts and stepping on my toes. And, while I consider myself a relatively proactive, I'm calm, but I'm determined. But I always felt like my thoughts were sort of ahead of me, and I was just not enjoying the moment.
And did any resistance come up for you when you were thinking about committing to this program with us, to saying yes?
Not really. I mean, I it's not like I felt I was at tipping point, but I had been reflecting upon, and I'd spoken as well to people close to me about engaging in coaching. At the time, it was really more about sort of finding the right person. I would have maybe started it even before, but I just hadn't really sort of found the right person.
Mm-hmm.
There you come in.
And what's changed for you since we've been working together 3 months now? What does life look and feel like? What's different?
So there's these things. I think the first thing to say is that these processes really take their time. And but for me, one of the real basic changes that I see is that I'm trusting my instinct a lot more. And I, whenever there is a decision to take, I definitely try to look at what is my instinct saying, and to quote you, where's my piccolo? Where you will explain all of this. The second thought that I keep having, and I found myself saying this to my husband yesterday, which was phenomenal, which was not outsourcing my well-being. And this entire, I do consciously think about the reactions that I am having to a specific situation and thinking, why is that having an impact on me? Should it have an impact on me? And that has really changed in how I'm perceiving what's coming towards me and how I'm using it to essentially help me move forward. And this kind of leads into what I think I've already told you are pretty much my favorite thing about coaching, is this wonderful concept of just getting these thoughts out, and whenever they do come in, just allowing them enough time that they need to be there, because they are there at times, these negative thoughts, these fears, these vulnerabilities, etc. But to just kind of allow them out in that moment. Poof. And then the final thing, which I think is really exciting, and is definitely something that I sort of relish in doing a lot more, is this celebration of myself and celebration of what's coming towards me, which I definitely did not take enough time to recognize and to appreciate and to live with.
Mm. And how has all of that benefited you as a leader and in your business?
I mean, I think the first area is probably really in terms of my day-to-day contact and my day-to-day life with my team. I think I try to get sort of a greater understanding as well of where they stand, in order to also develop my own strategy. I think in terms of time management, it's been hugely impactful, because I've discovered, this of course has to do with lockdown as well, because we are all home and we are all having to live and work and love and eat and, everything in the same space. And defining when work time starts and work time ends and family time starts and ends becomes a lot more difficult, because life is just more fluid. So this has just allowed me to at times just, say, recognize that I've got a very productive time in the evening, for example, and that maybe during the afternoon I can take my kids out for a cycle, I can enjoy their company, they can enjoy my company, and it's just allowed me a lot more breathing space.
Mm. And I think that I've certainly seen that in you, that sense of being more in control of your emotions through that process, and happier. And you mentioned your husband already. There's a connection, isn't there, between you as a leader and then you kind of as a leader in your own family life as well.
No, absolutely. You can't dissociate them, because I don't go to work and stop having kids, and I don't have kids and stop having work, so there's an intrinsic connection between the two. But then also, I will add, as you well know, I've had this third area in my life that's just popped up, which I've just had projects of my own. And this is something that I think one of the first objectives that we had for my coaching sessions was, I really wanted a hobby which wasn't my family, doing family photos or cooking or, yes, all valid stuff, but I wanted my own project. So I've engaged, I'm already on my second kind of project around our house, which is exciting to find the time to be dedicating the mental space as well to something without feeling the pressure that I have to be either with my kids or that I have to be at work. Just that me time, which is perfectly okay to have.
And what was the moment? Take me to the moment when you knew that the coaching was working.
Well, I think the moment I recognized it, and I think I raised this with you at the time, and it was work related. So I will, and I've then seen it in other facets of life. So I've seen it both with my family and with myself and projects, as I mentioned. But the moment where I saw it turning was about a month and a half in, where I sort of had to quite consciously say, I'm going to have this deadline to be sending this off, a report to a client, and tomorrow's bank holiday, and I want to enjoy my bank holiday. I don't want to be working over the weekend, and sort of quite consciously taking that decision and setting myself that deadline for a report to go out, which was not a report, I would have probably worked, the old me would have probably worked a lot more on that report, but to what benefit? Not having my weekend, it having a little bit, better language, or it making another point that maybe we could have made on a call. And so that for me was being able to do that, being able to just, click send, PDF it, and click send, and getting very positive feedback from the client, getting positive feedback from the team, who I also didn't make work on the weekend, admittedly, So I think that was the first moment. So I sort of saw it as, it was not being careless, but definitely caring less, but really, but still, my investment was there because it was there throughout the process. And I felt I respected my team more as well by kind of keeping that output also closer to what they had sent me. And, and I had my weekend and my bank holiday. Hat trick.
And what is it then about the way that we work together that's allowed you to get these results?
I think the first thing is the empathy is really key, and I feel a trust in you and an empathy towards me, who I am, how I am. I think there's things where we might be alike, but maybe now you're thinking we're not at all alike, but I just make it sound like we're alike. But there's the feeling of this real kind of, there's a mutual understanding and a relationship that builds. And I think the other side is my reflection time. I now, it's more positive now. I think before I definitely tended to be analyzing the negative. I'd be thinking about a conversation, a phone call, a report, an email, and then just be thinking about oh my God, and now definitely I'm thinking more about, and wasn't that awesome? Didn't that go well? And there's a real shift in how the brain works and in how my brain has started to work. And it's not done yet, because I definitely still have moments where I go, oh, maybe after this video I'll have that moment. But you definitely still have those moments, but it's just this positive reflection time, or the tone of my reflection, which has changed.
What's really surprised you or delighted you about this coaching process?
Surprised and delighted. It's two different things. I mean, by the surprised, the delighted is probably in seeing the change, and I think is seeing the change. I don't know about my team. I don't really ask them, so what do you think about my coaching? But my husband was telling me the other day that he actually felt that I had changed as well in these past 3 months, vis-a-vis my sort of demeanor at home. So I think I'm really delighted about that, because I think it's better for me as well, ultimately. And I didn't think about myself all too much before. It was always this, I mean, I still do think a lot about kind of others and how others are feeling, but I definitely focus more about how I'm feeling about a situation. And in terms of the surprise, I think I didn't expect that so much could be changed. I started this process thinking, I mean, things are already good. Things are good. I think probably in our first session, I kind of, but things are good. Don't worry about it, And you realize that they can actually be much better. And it's not that they were bad, but they can be so much better.
Yeah. And if someone's watching this right now and they're considering taking that step, investing in themselves, working together with me in this coaching program, what advice would you give that person that's being inspired by your story right now?
Well, I think, like I mentioned, finding the right person is really key, and finding the right connection, the right personality as well. And I think between us, that's really worked. And I think between you and a lot of people, it works, because I find you very adaptable. I've seen you in other contexts as well with other people. So I think that's definitely the first piece of advice. The second, I'd probably say is, I don't say that I was at a tipping point, but I wouldn't, which I sort of see maybe as having a breakdown, but then we never know how close we are to that. It's sort of one day just happens and you can't get out of bed. And I mean, thankfully I've never been in that situation, but I would say not to wait until to be in that situation, because there's the process of change can be so positive as well. And when I think about my story with you, I think about all of these improvements have been improvements both for myself and I think for others that I interact with. So it's sort of not waiting for that. And I think with this is the the preparation to be kinder to yourself. And I think that's a really good thing, because we're on this earth for a very limited amount of time. If we're going to be nasty to ourselves, I doubt that we'll be able to be good to other people as well. So, it's kind of just being kinder to us. And I think being prepared for that is good. And I think the final point I'd say is, I have an incredibly busy life. I just have a busy job. I have a busy family life. I am a busy person, but I definitely don't, it's not like I feel less busy now with all of the adaptations I had, and I'm probably not, but I feel I have more time. And if someone had told me this before, for me, it would have been like, yes, I'll take it. I'll buy it. Because this concept of time is something that's really recurrent, and everybody, I feel, I wish I had more hours in my day. And right now I genuinely feel I have more hours in my day. Sometimes there are even hours I don't know what to do with them. So, but I think that's definitely a positive change.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I've seen
thank you.
change in you already, and you know how much I love working with you, and I love you. So thank you so much for sharing this story.
Thank you. I really really appreciate it, and I'm really delighted to tell the story, and to sort of help anybody take that step, because it's a step worthwhile taking.
Thank you, Joanna.